So as you know, last night GPT-5, the long-awaited model from OpenAI, was released. In this video, we are going to thoroughly test GPT-5 against Grok 4, the previous best model in the world, and see how it does. I'm gonna use Mathew Berman's video on Grok 4, which was a thorough investigation inside Grok 4 to see how it does in everything, and use the exact same prompts on GPT-5 to see how it compares.
Write Python code that implements a 2D Navier-Stokes solver using the stable fluids method and outputs a series of PNGs of a smoke plume. It took 8 minutes and 19 seconds of Grok 4 heavy and output this code. Here it is. So what it did is it output 500 different PNGs. Now, what happens when I cycle through it? Here we go. So you can see it's starting to move, and you could tell by the name of the files it is a smoke plume. So far it doesn't look all that impressive, but then boom, it hits the wall. How cool is that? I think this is actually a really good smoke simulation. So yeah, it just continues on and it doesn't really move all that much after this.
Now I have the same prompt on ChatGPT and it gave me these images and they don't look particularly great. As you see, basically nothing happens. We have like some very mild smoke right here, but nothing else happens. And I actually tried it multiple times, and for some reason the model really loves the color purple. As you see, basically nothing happens. There's no smoke. So I think this one is a clear win for Grok 4.
Now I said, make this into a program I can run with JS HTML where there are a bunch of slider settings and I can drop in different objects that the fluid dynamics reacts to. So not quite as detailed as the other version of it. It's definitely more pixelated here, but I still think it looks really cool. And the smoke continues to pour out. I could add an obstacle just like that, and it reacts to the obstacle. So you can see it's kind of floating right into there. We can change the viscosity. So there we go. Notice something. If I click into it, I can interrupt the smoke's flow. Look at that. I didn't even know I could do that. That is so cool. So completely interactive simulation of fluid dynamics. And I can draw an obstacle and then reset the simulation and it starts again. Very, very cool. Very nice. I am running this in canvas mode right from Grok.
Now the second challenge was creating the smoke on HTML file. This time I think this is more acceptable, but this is too fast. Let's play with the parameters a bit. I think we need more buoyancy. For some reason the smoke just moves right every time. We can play with the smoke. We can put objects. I mean, this doesn't look really good. The smoke doesn't seem to like really interact with the object. Oh, it does actually interact with the object, but the hit area is different from the object itself. And I don't know, for some reason the smoke keeps moving left and right. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason it keeps moving left or right. Like, this is really cool, but I think, again, Grok 4 was better.
Next, provide Python code for a desktop app where the user draws on screen by moving their index fingertip in the air with color selection based on finger gestures. Okay, so here we go. It loaded up and you could see it's tracking my hand. Look at that. So cool. And there we go. When I do a full palm, it clears the screen. It works decently well. That was the first version. Then I said, now add the ability for me to select different colors and brushes using my hand and an element on the screen. Okay, so there we go. Red. Black. Okay. Green. Okay, I see. Not quite what I meant, but that actually works well. Oh, that's green again. Yeah, there we go. Yellow. Okay, I think that's pretty cool.
So I tried this one, but for some reason I can't get it to work. I don't know, maybe it's some problem on my end, but for some reason it doesn't find the webcam, and I tried multiple times to fix it, but it just doesn't work. So let's just move on.
Next, generate D3.js code to visualize world trade flows as an interactive chord diagram. Make sure you pull data for this from a reputable source. Nearly 10 minutes of thinking got this. So really overly simplistic, but it got it from the US Census Bureau for US related trades and from 2022. And yeah, this is a chord diagram. So there's only 4 countries in total: Germany, Japan, US, and China. And I think it looks decently cool, but it's still pretty simplistic.
There is something wrong with this one as well. It doesn't work. I actually tried like asking the model multiple times for it to fix it because it had the wrong resource URL. It was receiving 404. And again, it doesn't work. It just gives me an error. It can't fetch the data. So I guess this one is a fail as well. So let's just move on to the next one. But it is getting slightly annoying, I know. So I hope it gets better.
All right, next, write a single file HTML.js implementation of Conway's Game of Life that runs in browser and visualizes the grid on an HTML5 canvas at 60 frames per second. Let's look at the first version. This was done with Grok 4 Heavy, just about 3 minutes. And there we go. Not many controls, they just kind of live here, but it does look as though it worked. And that's great. We can restart it, but that's really the only thing we can do.
Okay, this one is actually really impressive. This is the best one I've seen so far. We can go back, we can clear, we can randomize. It seems like it is completely accurate. This is the best one I've seen so far out of every model. And it has some sliders. They work perfectly well. So yeah, this one is a pass. And I think this one is even better than Grok 4. So let's actually make it a bit more difficult. So this time I asked to map it on some 3D object, and this seems to be working just fine. Yeah, it is working, but it is not correctly mapped. It doesn't look correct to me. So the image is a bit warped. But it is cool. It looks good. And these are all one shot, so I didn't even try to make it better. Okay, this one is a draw, I think, or maybe GPT-5 is slightly better, but let's move on to the next. I just asked the model to impress me with something. I'm making a YouTube video about you, impress me and my audience. Go above and beyond and show me your best. So this is the first time that the model actually had a good plan, in my opinion. Combines the storytelling, generating images, and writing some code. So here's the story. In the year 3091, humanity abandoned Earth, not because it was waking up, but the oceans began whispering coordinates into warning symbols, and the moon cracked open, revealing something alive inside. And then there is this image with the story written on it, and then it gave me this code for the supposed new solar system that people moved into. I know this isn't like really impressive compared to other models of today, but the fact that it came up with a plan and thought of several different aspects to actually show what it can do, write code, generate images, and write the story, I think this was the best answer that I've gotten so far from any model.
I asked Grok 4 to create me a Rubik's Cube simulation, and no, it didn't pass at all. It actually didn't even display anything, even after multiple iterations of trying to get it to work using cursor. Really just couldn't get it to work at all.
So we have the famous Rubik's Cube. As you see, most sides don't have a color, and I noticed something really strange. Like these sides do actually have color, but the color is inside. So if we just look, you see there is like the yellow color inside, but from the outside it just looks black. You see, this side is supposed to be red. This side is supposed to be orange. The colors are somehow inside, but other than that, it works. So if we go up to 7 and we try to scramble it, it looks stable and it can actually scramble and then solve it. By the way, this doesn't actually solve the Rubik's Cube. It is just undoing the history. So solving a Rubik's Cube is a much more difficult algorithm to actually implement. And if you see other people doing it, they are all doing the same thing. They are just undoing history. So let's go even higher, like go for 20. It is actually quite impressive that it can pull it off, like make a stable Rubik's Cube. Other than the weird color stuff that are inside the cube, it is working pretty fine. I think if I just went for multiple iterations of it, it would make it just perfect, but this is what we get from the one shot. So this one is slightly better than Grok 4, I guess, but it is not perfect. So now let's try GPT-5 on multimodality and compare it to Grok 4. This is the part that I actually care more about because I think we are reaching some sort of ceiling. I expect GPT-5 to be much better, but let's see.
All right, next let's try some image generation. Now, I don't actually think they updated the image generation model, so it's not that impressive. Let me show you. Generate 4 images of the same original cartoon astronaut, neutral pose, waving, running, sitting, keep suit markings identical. So it did okay with that. Same here, 2 versions. Next, create a photorealistic close-up of a raindrop striking a leaf at 1200 frames per second. So yeah, these are okay, but once again, I just don't think this is an updated model. Draw a 2-panel comic of a cat discovering quantum mechanics in newspaper strip style. These did not come out well.
The first one is actually wrong. There are only 3 astronauts, but this one looks like exactly what we wanted. For the images though, I'm not gonna even bother to tell you if it's better or not. I have no idea if this one is better than Grok 4, so you can make your own mind. I think these are just subjective. This one, comic book style, I think this is no question, GPT-5 is much better. But the problem is this is not really because of GPT-5, it's because of the image 1 model from OpenAI that is just much better than XAI's image generator. So I don't think it's really a fair comparison. So far, if you ask me, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between GPT-4 or O3 and GPT-5. I don't see any obvious like glaring improvements over the previous generation, but you have to remember this is not really a scientific way of evaluating a model. We are just throwing random problems at the model and giving it one shot, but this is not nothing either. So take it as is.
Next, I gave it this image of a cluttered desk and said, list everything that's on the desk. Again, really good. Let me put this side by side so you can see it. So first, a wooden desk surface. Yes. Here's the laptop. Headphones. Let's see. There they are. Yellow sticky note on laptop reading Monday 11:30. There it is. Beautiful. Another pink one saying coffee first. There it is. So it really did give me everything. It gave me a list of about, 30, maybe 40 different items on this desk.
So now I asked the model to find every item in this image, and let's see how it does. So there are quite a number of objects here. I think it is mostly correct, but I found some like mistakes. I think it saw this as a pair of glasses, which is obviously wrong, and it saw this as a globe on the table, which I think is incorrect because it is on the shelf behind the desk. So I give it a pass on this one. There were quite a number of objects in this image, 32 in total, and it was an acceptable result. So let's move on to the next. So for this one, I just uploaded the image and didn't ask anything because we have the question on the image itself. So the first difference is dog's scarf pattern, which is correct. Butterfly near the dog's nose. It has a different pattern, which is incorrect as far as I can tell. They are exactly the same. Leaf in the background has one more hole. The yellow flower has different petal colors between the images. I think this one is incorrect as well. And rock under the dog's belly. So the model actually said there is another hole, extra hole on this one or on this one, and it is incorrect. There is another butterfly here, and it said the colors are different here, but it is not the colors. There is actually another extra flower. The butterfly patterns on the nose are exactly the same, so this wasn't different. The other 2 differences are the clouds in the background and this extra flower right here. that is not present in this one. So the model didn't find these ones, and I think it found 2 out of 5. If we count this flower one, which was actually incorrect, it said there is different color. So if we just accept that, it found 2 out of 5.
Where's Waldo? All I said, where's Waldo, uploaded the image. Waldo is located in the bottom right section of the beach scene. To pinpoint him more precisely, start from the lower right corner and look slightly left and up from there. He's standing just to the left of a green and white striped windbreaker, and there's a couple kids peeking inside. Let's look, and there he is, behind that windbreaker.
So I asked, where is Waldo? I found Waldo. He's located slightly right of the center of the image, just above the pair of people dressed as sunflowers. So we should expect it right here. I actually looked quite hard for a long time to find Waldo, and it is not here. It is in the corner. I think this is it. So I think it's safe to say that the model didn't find it because it is not even close to the center. It is just at the right corner and close to the top. So this one was a fail as well.
All right, next, a puzzle. Solve the Tower of Hanoi for 4 discs. Absolutely. Yep. Very cool. So let's see if it's able to solve it. Move 10, move 11, it's almost there, and 1. Perfect. Not only was it able to solve it in its chain of thought, in natural language, not with code, but it actually proved it and visualized it with code. Super impressive.
So for the Tower of Hanoi with 4 discs, I asked to visualize it, and this one is actually quite impressive. It actually not only solved it, but it generated the code that generates the visualization. So it is quite impressive. As you see, every step is completely correct. And if we move down, it actually slowly solves the problem in, I think, 15 moves. Grok 4 did it as well, so it's a draw.
All right, next I had to give it some gotcha questions. So without counting how many R's are in strawberry, explain the mental shortcut you used. Grok 4 heavy, 2 minutes. 3, I broke the word into straw and berry. I recalled that straw has 1 R and berry has double R, like Mary or Fairy. So that's 2 more for a total of 3. Great.
So for GPT-5, I asked a different question. A man's father is 4 times older than him. In 20 years, the son will be half the father's age. How old are they now? It did some math right here, and it said 10 years old son and 40 years old father, which is exactly 4 times. And in 20 years, the son will be 30 and the father will be 60, which is twice as much as the son, which is the correct answer. And again, this is a draw, I think. So let's move on to the next.
Next, I wanted to see medical diagnosis. So a 45-year-old male presents with acute onset chest pain radiating from the jaw, diaphoresis, troponin 0.9. I don't know how to read all this. ECG shows ST elevation of V2 to V4. Give the most likely diagnosis. Okay, most likely diagnosis, STEMI, anterior ST elevation myocardial infarction. This is supported by the acute chest pain radiating in the jaw, and so on. Immediate management plan. So yeah, this is pretty good. And of course, the disclaimer, Grok is not a doctor. Please consult one. Don't share information that can identify you.
So for medical diagnosis, I asked a 30-year-old woman presents with fatigue, joint pain, and some other symptoms that I found on the internet. So I think this is the correct diagnosis. It went really deep. I believe this is correct. I'm not actually quite sure. Here is the name of the disease.
Next, creative writing. Compose a 300-word cyberpunk noir opening scene that ends with the line, "He never saw the algorithm coming." And here it is. Rain-slick streets of Neo-Seattle gleam like fractured holograms under the perpetual downpour. Jax Harlan trudged through the throng of augmented pedestrians, their eyes flickering with overlaid data streams from cheap neural links. The air hung heavy with the sizzle of street vendors hawking black market upgrades. All right, that's pretty cool. And he never saw the algorithm coming.
So we asked for a different story from GPT-5. Write a short story, max 150 words, where a time traveler accidentally prevents their own birth, but instead of disappearing, becomes a myth told to children in their own timeline. In 2143, Mara slipped through the portal, intent on saving her grandmother from a petty theft that had spiraled into a tragedy. She stopped the crime with a single shout. The man fled, her grandmother's life forever altered, and so was the Mara's. In this new thread of time, her parents never met. You can read the whole story. I read it. I wasn't really impressed. There is no tension in the story, and I wouldn't say it is particularly better than the other models, but you can read it and make your own mind.
All right, next I wanted to see some life advice. So I am 30, hate my job in accounting, love woodworking, and have saved $40,000. Outline a realistic 12-month plan to transition to a full-time carpentry business. Great. So keep your current job for the first 6 to 9 months, budget conservatively, focus on a niche, realistic timeline, risk mitigation, and here's the timeline. Gave me what I need to learn in each month, cost estimates, different milestones. This is fantastic.
And finally, we have quite a difficult question on some life advice, so let's see how the model does. I'm 27, torn between going to grad school for psychology or staying in a stable but boring sales job. I want meaning, but I fear instability. Give me advice that is honest, nuanced, and not generic. Start with brutal clarity on why. I think this is a very good place to start. When people say they want meaning, it often means one of three things: contribution, mastery, alignment. I think this is a pretty good description of what people mean when they want meaning in their lives. I really like this part as well, going from the why to the cold transactional truth of the matter. Like, it's about the financial cost, it's about the post-grad earnings, it's about time costs, it's about financial costs. This is a good analysis, I think. Then it says, imagine your future when you're 40. Which one do you want to be? Which I think it's a good test as well. Overall, I give it a pass, but I don't think it is particularly better than grok 4 either. Overall, I'm actually quite shocked. I expected a much better model. What I can think of is either I'm really unlucky because I can see everyone else just being blown away by GPT-5 and I see some mind-blowing examples on the internet right now. But in this test, I think it was an obvious win for grok 4. The other thing that I don't think it is true, but it is an option, is that Mathew wasn't actually trying grok 4 in one shot. Maybe they were like the best answers out of that model. And it is not really fair to compare the best answers from grok 4 to the one shots from ChatGPT. So for the next video, I'm going to absorb other people's opinion on the internet and find a lot more examples. I think that would showcase the capabilities of this model better, I hope at least. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.